Welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. If you would like to, we have our newest style t-shirt out. Yep, going up the screen if you'd like one. Or you can have one of the older styles or retro one. It helps the channel, and you end up looking pretty cool. Okay, today we have something very unique. 1957 Oval, the last year of the Oval, and our buddy Dino, yeah, that guy right there, he was nice enough to do a self-interview. If you would like to do one, the email's going up the screen. Send me an email, and I'll tell you how to go about it and how to get the footage to me. And I do all the editing. You don't have to worry about it. Dino's Garage. Yes, that guy. Check him out if you can, and you get a chance. And we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Dino, and I'm going to pop in at the very end of the video and tell you what is coming up soon. Take it away, Dino.
Thanks, Slade. Hey folks, Dino from Dino's Garage here. Today we're going to be doing something very special. I'm going to show you guys my 1957 oval window Beetle, affectionately known as Mabel. Come on, let's take a look and see what makes this car so special. So here it is, Mabel, my 1957 Volkswagen Beetle. What makes a 1957 Beetle so special? Well, for one thing, in 1957, this was actually the best-selling foreign car in the United States. As you can see, if you look carefully, there's a few differences on this car that separate this from the later cars. I'll show you them as we go along. One of them is the bullet-style turn signals. They were mounted low. They actually replaced the semaphores, which would come out of the side of the car right here to meet American Department of Transportation standards for safety. This particular model has fluted Porsche-style headlights, which we've added. And as you can see, the headlight is actually below the glass, just like on a 60s car, but different from the 70s car, where they have a more upright sealed beam lens. This particular car is equipped with European-style blade bumpers. Originally, as an American spec car, it would have had the overrider bumpers, but we've added those. I just think it's just a little bit of a cleaner look. It's personal preference. It has a smaller windshield than some of the later cars. And this particular car also has slightly wider trim than some of the later cars. This particular car is diamond greened, which was only a color available for a few years. It's a very interesting color. Sometimes it looks silver, sometimes it looks green. The car is equipped with 135 size tires. These are the original style Firestone F60s. Or 560s that it would have had originally. And if you could tell, the car is lowered a little bit. We did that with an adjustable front suspension so that if we ever decide, we can raise it right back up to stock height. Some people like the look, some people don't. Anyways, let's carry on inside the car and see what's going on inside the cockpit. We'll start with this unique wheel, this large batwing style wheel that was unique to the 50s cars. This dashboard was on the later 50s cars. All metal dash. This one's equipped with a speedometer, a odometer. It has the typical oil pressure and generator light. Starting from the left to the right, we've got our headlights, our windshield washers, our radio knobs, and a manual choke knob, which is to the left of the keys. Also, the keys are on the right side of the dashboard. This particular car is equipped with the optional clock, ashtray, and of course, the glove box with her nickname on her, Mabel. That was hand painted by my good friend Jason Wharton, who did all the other pinstriping in the car and also designed our shop's logo. You can see his artwork all over the East Coast on Volkswagens. He is an amazing pinstriper. This particular car has a few fun optional features we've added. We've got our cocoa fiber floor mats and also the new Hearst style Impy shifter. It is copper colored like the old ones. It also has a rosewood knob, and we've added this lovely bezel from Project Therapy. They do some really amazing stuff with 3D printing, and their products are just top notch. Throughout the years, this car has gotten a slightly different interior than would have come with. These vinyl seats aren't quite accurate to a 57. These would be more off of a 60s car. but they wear nicely, they look nice, and it still makes the car very presentable. A feature missing from this particular 57 is right in this area here, there would have been a fuel petcock. They would have given you the option of reserve or full or off when you're operating the car. So basically you would drive the car until the car started to sputter, and then you would take the knob or lever and turn it so that it would go into the reserve tank, and then you'd have about 10 miles or so to get some gasoline. This car is not equipped with a gas gauge, so that's all you had. However, this car just gets driven locally, so we omitted that 'cause, number one, we didn't want to cut a hole in the carpet, and number two, for the bigger engine we've installed, we had to install a higher flowing fuel system, which didn't cooperate real well with the petcock. Some will say it will, some will say it won't. We just wanted to remove all doubt. Also, right here is the hood latch to open the frunk. What's under a frunk? Well, I'll show you. We've got our Firestone 560 spare tire. A unique feature to the 50s Beetles and some of the 60s Beetles are you actually have to fill the gas tank right here by opening the hood. In 1957, they went to a slightly different design gas tank, which had a recess right in this area here, so you could actually put luggage in this area more easily. It also, this particular car would have originally had a little lever you had to fold open and close to close and open the deck lid. This car, somebody must have gotten frustrated with it at some point in time and modified it with a 70s style spring opening closing system, which is much easier to deal with and live with day to day. So one thing I love about cars is a car with a story, and this particular car has a kind of a unique story. I don't know much about the history of the car until the 70s, but what I can tell you is that approximately 1978, as you can see evidenced by this New Jersey inspection sticker right here, the car was unfortunately involved in an automobile accident. This side of the car was hit, it was T-boned. The gentleman pulled this car out of a junkyard after the accident, fixed the damage, and then proceeded to paint the car. This is a lacquer paint job. I did mention it was diamond green. The purists out here will probably get on me because it's pretty close to diamond green. In fact, the gentleman I bought it from, the nephew of the previous owner that painted it, admitted that they're pretty sure it was not quite diamond green, but pretty close. I think it's a lovely color regardless. So he painted it with a single stage lacquer paint job. And that, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, is where the story kind of ends for a while. For some reason, and the nephew didn't know, the vehicle was put into storage. And it was put into storage right after it was painted. There were no windows, there were no headlights, nothing. I actually have pictures of this car sitting and had a roof rack on it, and it had like a plastic Santa Claus and all kinds of junk all over it. So I'm not real sure why he didn't finish it, but around 2019, the gentleman passed away. The nephew got the car. He proceeded to do a partial restoration on the car and ultimately decided that it wasn't for him anymore. I was able to purchase the car, and then I finished the restoration and upgraded the engine and things like that. So this car sat with a fresh paint job on it for like 40 years. And all we had to do was a little light buffing to make it look like it does today. And that's, well, I'm pretty glad that guy saved out of that junkyard all those years ago. So what makes this car an oval? Well, pretty obvious actually. The oval-shaped back window. In 1957 was the last year of that window. After 1957, they went to a much larger window, which admittedly does give much better visibility, but in my opinion, and I think the opinion of many others, not quite as pleasing on the eye. This car doesn't have any deck lid vents, but it does have very large vents up here. The earliest cars have split windows, which were basically two split pieces of relatively flat glass. And then ultimately they went to this oval window until 1958. So there you go, oval. As we mentioned before, this car is equipped with the correct Firestone F560 tire. That would be approximately a 135 size tire today. This particular car has slightly wider steel wheels from CIP1 on it, but it does retain the original style hubcap. However, in 57, for those keeping track, this actually would have had a black VW logo in there painted on it. These being aftermarket hubcaps do not. So these are modern bias ply tires that look, or modern radial tires that look like old bias plies. They run down the road great, and they keep the original look of the car, which I think is quite nice. As I mentioned before, the car has been lowered a little bit, probably about two and a half inches in the front, maybe an inch and a half in the back. It gives it a nice raked look like a 50s outlaw racer. But once again, nothing has been done to the car to modify it to where it can't be raised back up, because we like to preserve history here. So a few things that are a little different on the 50s cars than the later cars. A lot of things are smaller. Smaller windows, smaller deck lids, smaller taillights. These are the snowflake style taillights, very, very small compared to the newer cars. These have both the turn signal, the taillight, and the running light and the brake light in it. Much smaller than more modern cars' license plate light. We also have the T-handle style mount, which is how you open and close the deck lid. And the early cars would have had small pea shooter style exhaust, although this car is equipped with a much larger quiet pack exhaust system from Bug Pack to accommodate the larger performance engine. This particular car has Euroblade bumpers, as we mentioned. Originally, this would have had overrider or towel rack style bumpers, but we just like the look of the Euro bumpers, and as I said before, simply personal preference. Originally, the 1957 Beetle had a 36 horsepower engine. That was it. It didn't take a lot because the average highway speeds were 50, 55 miles an hour at the most. The engine's got 30 miles per gallon, and they ran really, really well. They ran like sewing machines. However, the type of driving we're doing today, we like to be able to keep up with, highway traffic doing 65, 70 miles an hour. So we have upgraded this particular car. It's still a single port engine. However, this particular car has a 1641, still retains a stock camshaft. It's been upgraded to an alternator. This car has also been upgraded to a 12-volt electrical system, and we were able to do that by installing a 1967 transmission, which was the first year for the 12-volt system, with a bus nose cone. So we've got an alternator. We've got a Brazilian-style H3031 carburetor, which is much bigger than the original. I believe it would have been a 28-pick carburetor from Solex. This particular one's equipped with a Ross Wolf velocity stack. You can't see it, but I'm tapping on it. There is a screen inside of here, so we're not just sucking leaves and things in. We are equipped also with CSP stainless steel. These are actually really heavy-duty heater tubes. And last but not least, the Pat Downs Performance Shockwave system, which is a fully electronic ignition system, about as much of a departure from the original point-style ignition system this car had that you can imagine. They're not very expensive. They work very well. We install them on a lot of engines, and this one is no exception. So this motor probably puts out, probably 65, maybe 70 horsepower as opposed to the original 36. It keeps up very well on the highway. It runs cool in the summer, and it sounds pretty good too. So, yeah. Beyond that, everything else in here is, set up the way it would have been.
Well, come on. Take us for a ride, Dino. Now that was fun. Even a burnout. I like it. Okay, I'm going to show you some stuff now that Dino sent in. There's a little bit of extra footage. Enjoy. I'll be back in a second. That is a beautiful car. Absolutely breathtaking. All right, Dino.
All right, folks, that about wraps it up. I really want to thank you all for letting me share this piece of Volkswagen history with you. We love this car very much. My family, we take this car to shows during the spring, summer, and fall, and even a little bit into the winter. And most importantly, I love sharing the car with my beautiful daughter, Avery, who is about to turn 2. And I don't think it takes much imagination to imagine that one of her first words was bug. So, until next time, folks, adios, and see you on the road.
Dino, thank you for taking out the time to do this. And he was very patient with me. We had a little problem with video codecs back and forth. And he had sent a bunch of videos to me 2 times, was very patient. And I really, really appreciate that. It does happen sometimes. So what are we going to do different this week? Okay, we're going to switch over to doing the headliner. I got to get the headliner done after I thought about it. With the spraying of the headliner, I'm better off doing the repairs first because the overspray is going to come down, and then we'll do the dash and the inside of the doors next. I got to get this interior done up before I finish on the outside, I decided, so no big deal. So I did receive the interior dye that I'm going to use. So we're going to refurbish our headliner instead of replacing it, and we'll go over that during the video. Not everybody will be able to do that, but I think I can get away with it because on Heather's car, I'm going to do a rag top. This Friday coming up at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to try to do the live chat from the garage. I always do it from my office, but I'm going to give it a shot, see how it goes. I don't know if I'm bringing my laptop up or if I'm going to do it from my phone. So be patient. If it works out good, then we'll do live from the garage and get stuff done once in a while late at night and be able to chat back and forth. Okay. I thank you for all the support and thank you for the donations that have been sent in. If you'd like to do a donation or sticker or magnet, t-shirt, down in the description. Thank you all for being part of this community. It's still growing and it is outstanding. Everybody have a great upcoming weekend.